This video is being done on August the 25th, 2017. It's really a pre-introduction to what I'm about to bring into the picture of why is it that people do not admit guilt, why people do not apologize, etc., etc. I'm going to give, within this little bit here, an example, a true example of what I encountered in my own life with my relatives. And I've probably stated this particular statement somewhere else. So, but I just wanted to give you an insight as to how different people have a different approach for not apologizing or whatever. Now, one is the core personality. Narcissists, people who are what you would call feed into the narcissist's world, mostly like a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Because narcissists can be males and females, and it is really where you can see that you will not get an apology. Even when they have done a crime, they will have a tendency to sort of negate it. They'll make you feel as if you have committed a crime. And all my videos are related to aspects of my own dynamics with individuals I know. So in the long run, I can use these people as examples. I try not to judge them because in the end it's really about the story itself that I lead into. So that's one example. That's a narcissist. Then there's the controlling personality, not necessarily a narcissist. They could be passive-aggressive. They could be anything. And this is the one where there's an incongruity of sometimes the most strangest statements will show you a very larger picture of who you're dealing with. Because, you know, some of these people have very nice qualities, and also, if you're not prepared to deal with them on a larger extent, because maybe you're not really versed in it, you can go down the rabbit hole, because in your world, you could really fall through the cracks. So this particular controlling personality is a female, dominant. And the reason they're dominant sometimes is because some of them have gone through stuff in their early childhood. Probably they had a very, very strong personality in their father or their mother. And this was the case for this person. So I like to qualify that, to be fair. But I will tell you that do never cross them. If you become their friends, then you have to realize that if you can stay out of certain subjects and stay within a realm of comfortable conversation, you will have it made. But once you start going down the path of asking advice, whatever. They can become, they'll help you, you might think, but they are ruthless when you no longer want the advice. So this person is a fundamentalist Christian, but that's not the drawback. They are what you would call, they've gone down a different path of Christianity, and it's very difficult to describe, and I don't want to get into that too much, because I'm not going to diss people off about the aspect of being Christian. But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that they never apologize unless you have another dominant person speaking up for you. They will more or less apologize. You also have, but on the other hand, you have to know how to get around them to get that apology. So, but it's not their normal language. And this is when you start to know how these people are, the ridiculousness of what is said. And this is like the statement before the actual discussion at hand. The statement to me was, oh, we were talking about forgiveness. They were trying to tell me I should forgive this and forgive that, and it wasn't really on my mind. I have a way of dealing with very hard issues. I just put it to the back burner. Then I work on it when it comes into my domain of thought. But she said to me, after I said, well, this, because you can't get into an entangled discussion. But she said, well, you should apologize for them. And I just looked at her. I said, why? They're the ones that are doing it. Whatever. No specific persons, but whatever. And this is now where I get into the true discussion on the next clip. Good morning, everyone. Today is August the 25th, 2017. I used to ask, why is it that some people will not admit their guilt or even apologize? It is said that if they admit their guilt, they'll have psychologically to face up to what they have done. Some people cannot do this and it won't admit to what they have done. For non-apologists, saying I'm sorry carries psychological ramifications that run far deeper than the words themselves imply. It elicits fundamental fears, either conscious or unconscious, they desperately want to avoid. Admissions of wrongdoing are incredibly threatening for non-apologists because they have trouble separating their actions from their character. If they did something bad, they must be bad people. If they were neglected, they must be fundamentally selfish and uncaring. If they were wrong, they must be ignorant or stupid. Therefore, apologies represents a major threat to their basic sense of identity and self-esteem. Apologizing might open the door to guilt for most of us, but for non-apologists, it can instead open the door to shame. While guilt makes us feel bad about our actions, shame makes non-apologists feel bad about themselves, who they are, which is what makes shame a far more toxic emotion than guilt. While most of us consider apologies as opportunities to resolve interpersonal conflict, Non-apologists may fear their apology will only open the floodgates to further accusations and conflict. Once they admit to one wrongdoing, surely the other person will pounce on the opportunity to pile on all the previous offenses for which they refuse to apologize as well. Non-apologists fear that by apologizing they would assume full responsibility and relieve the other party of any culpability. If arguing with a spouse, for example, they might fear an apology would exempt the spouse from taking any blame for a disagreement, despite the fact that each member of a couple has at least some responsibility in most arguments. By refusing to apologize, non-apologists are trying to manage their emotions. They are often comfortable with anger, irritability, and emotional distance, and experience emotional closeness and vulnerability to be extremely threatening. They fear that lowering their guard even slightly will make their psychological defenses crumble, and often the floodgates to a well of sadness and despair that will pour out of them, leaving them powerless to stop it. They might be correct, however, they are incorrect in assuming that exhibiting these deep and pent-up emotions, as long as they get support, love, and caring when they do, which fortunately is often the case, will be traumatic and damaging. Opening up in such a way is often incredibly therapeutic and empowering, and it can lead them to experience far deeper emotional closeness and trust toward the other person, significantly deepening their relationship satisfaction. Now, a lot of people will go on the defense. When they've done something wrong, they will just go on the defense. And it's part and parcel about that they can't admit it. You see, their identity is equated with their actions, and depending on the personality type, it's very much in the picture. There's pride. Pride is a killer for some people. And there's also the other side of it. They think that if they apologize, it means that they're going to apologize for a whole bunch of people. So, in order to understand all of this, you have to understand, if it comes down to how vulnerable and human we're able to make our environments, we have to understand how to work around understanding the whole equation of guilt and apologies. And it comes into, what do you know about the person? What do you know about their personality profiles? And don't expect to change them, but depending on the situation, you can learn how to approach them. To all TIs, stay safe.